I'm going across to be joined by the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, on the 16th day of the farmers' protest. Ms. Sitharaman, good evening. 16 days on, why is the centre unable to break the ice with the farmers? Who stopped the talks from continuing? Who is to blame for it?
Well, I don't want to blame anybody. I think it's a time when the farmers are all probably having a introspection, having discussed for some time. Now, with also a written response going from the centre, based on those primary points on which farmers had, in the first two engagement, raised questions on their own, central government has given proactively some kind of a response. I would assume that the farmers are going through the response given by Minister Tomar. So I hope that the talks will resume and there will be a very conciliatory discussion as it has happened earlier.
You say MSP will remain. Rahul Gandhi seems to know the mind of these farmers. He says farmers will not compromise. Is this becoming completely political? Are political interests guiding some of the farmer lobbies?
I find that a bit of a, if that is true, it is really sad, because what is political about welfare of farmers? What is political about it? You have, as Congress party, mentioned it in your 2019 election manifesto. In fact, you went to the extent of saying, we shall ensure that the APMCs are disbanded. You also spoke very promisingly about how the farmers should be given all the facility to be able to export and be able to sell his products where he wants. Now, what is it that the Congress party is seeking to achieve by muddying this water? If anything, I would think they should sit with the farmers and tell them what actually are the three laws which are passed. I was very, very impressed when Minister Narendra Tomar said, I am willing to look at clause by clause each of these laws, with the farmers sitting before me and telling me which of the clause has a problem, and I'm willing to really do some work on it. So the Congress party can actually keep a copy of these laws and probably sit with the farmers and say, Bhaiya bolo, kahan hai aapatti aapka? I would actually expect that kind of a role of the opposition, having put it in the first place in their manifesto.
I think, Ms. Sitharaman, I have a feeling that the farmers' groups as well as political parties are looking for a strategic victory over you. You are looking at things tactically. Allow me to explain why I think of it this way. You have come back with several proposals, whether it be on MSP, whether it be on contract farming, whether it be on the legal aspect of it and the legal rights of farmers, and the fact that their land will be protected. So you have practically met, I would say, 80% or more of the farmers' demands. Now, on our Hindi channel, Republic Bharat, Rakesh Tikait of the Bharatiya Kisan Union was with me. He said, that does not matter. What matters is that we want a repeal of the law. Now, the repeal of a law is a strategic victory for them and will be a strategic defeat for you. Therefore, the farmers are not looking at the details, or at least the farmer leaders or your opposition. They're not looking at the details of MSP. You're going about the micro parts of it. They're looking at scoring a political victory over you. So, do you also think so? I mean, this has become now about political egos and political grandstanding and about a strategic defeat. How do you ensure a strategic defeat for the Modi government on the issue?
Arnab, I think what is important here is not to see this whole thing as victory or defeat for anybody. Here is a situation where, with all good intent, And over the decade, in fact over 2 decades, beginning 2000, these farm laws have been discussed over several committees, over several governments, and having passed the parliament after due discussions. You may still tell me that in Rajya Sabha there was ruckus. Ruckus began after Narendra Singh Tomar, minister, stood up to respond to the questions raised in the parliament, in the Rajya Sabha. And the opposition played the game wanting not to hear him give the answers. Lok Sabha passed it. When it comes to Rajya Sabha, they did not even allow him to answer. And the Agriculture Ministry has given clear data to say how many stakeholders meetings were held and so on. So this has not happened in a jiffy. This has happened after due consultation at various different levels. And I do not want to speak what is being done for the welfare of the farmers as a victory, as a loss, as a defeat. None of that. We are here to talk with the farmers, ask them for specific things which worry them, and we are willing to address that. And therefore, I think we are showing, and rightly, I'm not sitting in pride with it, we are showing the right concern to address issues which have to be talked rather than looked at as though you're going to win, I'm going to lose. None of that.
No, but can you give them the guarantees they want? This entire, we are a free market economy, and what the farmers want is that they want a guarantee that in the private mandis, which will exist parallel to the government mandis, the produce will not be sold at a rate lower than that of the MSP. They want the government to be a guarantor. Nirmala, Sitharaman, can you hear me, Ms. Sitharaman? Can you hear me or not here? Did I lose the line? Ms. Sitharaman? Nirmala ji? I think I briefly lost the line. Let's see if we can get Nirmala Sitharaman back. This is interesting because it's for the first time, viewers, that the union... can you hear me now, Nirmala ji? We were just at a critical point in the interview. We'll try and get the line back. We'll dial again, but in the meantime, I just like to say that while I get the line back, this is, whether or not the government agrees, this is becoming clearly a matter in which the farmers' unions are hoping that they will inflict a strategic defeat on the government. Whether there are political forces behind that or not, you can't say for sure. Nirmala ji, can you hear me now? I think I've got the line back. Nirmala ji, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, excellent. So my question to you was, the farmers are saying, Nirmala ji, that we want the government to be a guarantee that the price in the local mandis will not be lower than the MSP in the government mandis. They say you give us that in writing. Can you give such a commitment in writing?
See, the point is the government is wanting to sit and talk to them and do whatever it takes to convince them and remove the doubts in their minds. If while sitting and talking with Narendra Singh Tomar, they would say it and they would definitely respond, the government would definitely respond. But when they sit and talk, and if the minister's gone to the extent of saying, I'll go clause-wise on the 3 acts and speak, it means he's completely with an open mind. And I'm sure I would leave it to the Agriculture Minister to definitely hear everyone's such demand if they pose it to him there.
Are you concerned about this charge or the way in which this is being described as the Ambani-Adani farm laws? This seems to me a reminder of the phrase "Soot Boot ki Sarkar." Your opponents are constantly talking about the Adani-Ambani farm laws charge. Are you concerned about the political perceptual impact of that?
Let's be clear on one thing. Contract farming has existed and continues to exist in many states, inclusive of the state where Congress is an alliance running Maharashtra government. Maharashtra, Punjab, Haryana, Karnataka, contract farming exists. There was not one voice against it, then or now. But that's being brought up as a point of concern now when the farm laws are being discussed. What is the solution Maharashtra offered? What is the solution Haryana offered? How come Karnataka farmers are not protesting on that? So there just seems to be raking up issues by some sections, not so much the farmers, bringing in a doubt and fear in the minds of the farmers, which are actually not very well founded.
What is your comment on these people like Yogendra Yadav who suddenly para-dropped here? Last I checked, in all of Delhi, his party got 1,500 votes in 4 assembly constituencies, which means he couldn't even get about 400 votes in every assembly constituency. And yet these unelectables suddenly have para-dropped into this, this whole arena. They're hijacking the talks. Why is the government not intervening there? Why is the government not exposing the real intentions of these people and their backgrounds? Yogendra Yadav was the same person who was instigating Shaheen Bagh, which led to the Delhi riots. Why are you allowing things to get polarized?
What is allowing and what is not allowing? If only any individual who goes and joins each of these protests can raise a legitimate point of concern. If the farmers are not able to articulate, which I don't believe, I think farmers are fully capable of putting forth their concerns. But never mind, if people go and join them, at least if they are facilitating the discussion by raising the points of concern, the government can speak. They're just joining there, but raising no substantial point which is actually germane to the laws which have been passed. So my question is, what is the value addition? If you're there, and if you're somebody who knows the farming sector so much, you know the welfare of the farmers, you've gone there because you want to give strength to their voice, put forth those points which have certain matter of concern. No, I'm there, but I shall not raise any question because there's nothing substantive against these 3 laws. And that is what is worrying me. I have no problem with anyone joining a particular protest. But what is the common cause for which you have gone? And put that common cause out. If it is so serious a concern, the minister will answer to you. But if it's not, why are you there?
Well, the common cause is one of political opportunity. You can't get elected, but you can try and get some relevance by going for a photo op. I personally think the government should be tougher with these people who are constantly instigating things. My last question to you, are you concerned about the international impact? There is the way this is now being portrayed globally. Are you concerned about the way this is being described as India's police detain opposition leaders, farmer agitation, Justin Trudeau's support, pamphlets like the Washington Post? Does this cause you concern? Do you think this was an attempt to run down India globally by vested interests? Is this not similar? The kind of the international coverage is very similar to Shaheen Bagh, very frighteningly similar. Same pamphlets, same kind of agenda. Are you not noticing it? You've been a spokesperson for your party. You know about issues of perception globally.
You're right, Arnab. There is definitely a common cause, kind of a brotherhood, which exists both in India and some countries abroad. And this brotherhood raises voice as and when the agenda serves them. And that's something which we can see happening. And I'm not even going into details of who are behind it. But certainly, what had happened to the protests earlier, what had happened to the voices which went sympathetic to certain sections which were raising a false alarm, whether it is the CAA and now whether it is the farm laws, any good reform which the government does in public interest, because it doesn't suit a certain section, they join in such protests. I'm not saying the farmers are wrong. If the farmers have doubts, they are welcome to ask questions. We are there to answer them till they are satisfied. But to latch on to such protests and also to create an international outcry from the predictable, usual suspects, it just shows that this is the kind of network, the brotherhood, which, because it doesn't like Prime Minister Modi's firm leadership, Prime Minister Modi's reform agenda, they would want to somehow destabilize the government by bringing these kind of opinions as though it is there everywhere. It's the same usual suspects. But the fact remains that the government is engaging in dialogue with people who have doubts in their mind, and we are willing to sit with them and talk. So I'm sure people will see where the facts lie. We are sitting and talking with the farmers. As long as it takes, we will explain our position, and that it is for the welfare of the farmers. But those who put it in their own manifesto, now shedding crocodile tears, will be exposed.
Well, thank you very much. You cannot have talks in an environment of disruption, no doubt about that. Nirmala Sitharaman, thanks very much. Thank you for joining me this evening.